YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here. Hey, if you're new to the channel, welcome. We're doing some Total War Warhammer online battles. If you have been here a long time, then you know what we're doing today. This is actually a 2v2 battle that came from the live stream that I did with you all last night at the time that I was recording this. I think it was January 5th. And so, yeah, this was a good one. It was a 2v2 where we used a random faction picker. I ended up with Chaos. My teammate ended up with Empire, and then our opponents ended up with Lizardmen and Bretonnia. Now, I'm going to cover the builds as best I can. I brought Kholek Sun Eater, despite a lot of people hoping I was going to bring Archaon. I do have a Chaos Sorcerer of Fire, though, just to still have that fiery element. I've got a couple of Marauder Horsemen. My main line is Chaos Warriors. I do have 2 units of Forsaken on the flanks, and that is pretty much my army. I do have 1 unit of Warhounds hidden way in the back. My ally brought Volkmar the Grim and a Jade Wizard. The Jade Wizard with the ability to do Earthblood, Regrowth, and I believe Shield of Thorns. So yeah, and there's going to be a couple of Spearmen with shields and some Halberds for the Empire playing defensively around the Sunmaker and the Luminarch of Hysh. Now our opponents, rocking Bretonnia and Lizardmen. For Lizardmen, we got Gor Rok. He is surrounded by Saurus warriors and temple guards, and supported by Lord Krok and a couple of Bastiladons with solar engines. Now, the Bastiladons are long-range artillery units. They can cause some pretty decent damage, and Krok, of course, very expensive, but he can delete groups of infantry rather effectively, especially if they get blobbed. Now for the Bretonnians, they are led by Alberic de Bordelot. He's got some Royal Hippogriff Knights in the air to support him, a Damsel of Life on the ground with Regrowth and Earthblood, and a Life Bloom ability. We're going to have the Defenders of the Fleur de Lis, which is a Knights Errant unit, of course, that is better, and they've got Frenzy here. And then we've got the Companions of Kinel, which is a very dangerous unit with armor-piercing and anti-large capabilities. The Lizardmen had put a couple of Skink Skirmishers up front. They got hit by some Demigryph Knights and scared off by my Marauder Horsemen as well. Though early on in this fight, between the Trebuchets of Bretonnia and the Solar Engines, the handguns for the Empire were targeted early and effectively, taken off the battlefield, which will be very important. Handguns can do tremendous damage late in a battle. We do have some Knights Errant here as well on the other flank. Now immediately I recognized that there were some very expensive units coming in from our opponents. I wanted to try and pin them out here and support the Demigryph Knights, else they would have gotten killed by themselves. So I brought in Kholek, dropped his lightning ability here, doing as much damage as I can to the Companions of Kinel. You can see that they are receiving both a Regrowth and an Earthblood, so they're going to take a considerable portion of damage here. I'm able to save my Marauder Horsemen from this incoming spell here, and continue to use them to hurl javelins in. Now at this point, I'm outnumbered. I'm up against, now the Defenders of the Fleur de Lis did buy the farm, the Companions of Kinel still alive, but I'm bringing in some Forsaken just to act as kind of like hit point sponges here, and I'm going to use Kholek to kind of back through them, and I'm hoping that that Luminarch or some other units can help me out here, and then my Marauder Horsemen should be set to skirmish, and I'm just looking for freebies here on an expensive unit like the Companion of Kinel. Now that Alberic is alone and doesn't have the support of his other units, Kholek, of course, is going to put a massive beat down on him, and so you're going to see Alberic immediately retreat from that fight, as he should. And then Kholek's going to go to work on his cronies over here. I've got some Chaos Warriors moving out here too, just to help reinforce, because Bretonnia had a lot of forces in the vicinity, and I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable with it. Some regrouped guns are now going to help. Look at this. Krok just deleted the spear unit that was out front. Won't get a ton of value for it, but you can see that the Solar Engine's firing away. The Luminarch's still firing too, attempting to land some hits on Alberic, but he is too mobile at the moment in order to land that hit. So you can see here that not a whole lot else going on over there. Bretonnia pulls out of that engagement because it's no longer favorable. The rocket batteries were able to finally target some Saurus warrior and temple guards, though the rocket battery is probably nearly out of ammunition. It still gets some really excellent shots in here. Gets 150 kills. Look at this Krok going for another infantry deletion here, and it works beautifully. So Krok has deleted a couple of Empire infantry units off the battlefield. We still have a relatively even fight in terms of the balance bar. Kholek's still alive, Alberic's still alive. Let's see where the Luminarch is targeting here. It's targeting at the Damsel. And tree blocked there, so the Damsel better thank the tree, because that saved her from an epic laser shot to the face there. I'm going to bring forward the Warriors of Chaos, engage the Saurus Warriors. My Chaos Warriors will do fairly well against most of this stuff except for Temple Guards. Obviously, it will be more than a match for the Chaos Warriors. I brought them because I knew that they would create a decent problem for most of the Lizardmen infantry. I used a Burning Head here, and I think it went slightly off course because it did hit some of my own Chaos Warriors, but did do a lot of damage to the Lizardmen infantry early on, so feeling fairly good about that. We ended up with 6 kills out of it, and then the banishment from Volkmar, not exactly on target at the moment. Not exactly on target, but yeah. Anyway, you can see Kholek still running around, using my Marauder Horsemen to, again, just keep picking at the commandees of Kinel. You can see me here throwing an Unbreakable Chaos Spawn unit at them, attempting to block them, but it was too late. They're going to get on the Luminarch of Hysh, and they will no doubt kill it very, very quickly here. So this is unfortunate. The Luminarch still had ammunition left. Could have been a very valuable unit for my team, but it's going to die. But its sacrifice won't be entirely in vain here, as the Companions of Kinel get held still and charged by Kholek, and they take a savage beating in the process. But you can see here that, like I said, the Luminarch is in big trouble. I'm going to use Kholek's Lightning here. You can see an Awakening of the Wood blowing up these guys, so we're doing everything we can to try and swing this infantry fight. But a nice charge here by the Royal Hippogriff Knights and a hit by Gor Rok, and of course it overwhelmed and terrified my Chaos Warriors. My Doggos did chew up one Bretonnian Archer unit, shattered it, but the other 2 killed it while it was in the process of finishing that job. There goes the Luminarch. It's going to be escorted out by the Companions of Kinel. So that is a pretty valuable unit for them to kill. Pretty valuable unit indeed. If we're just taking a look at what's left here, Volkmar's still in good health, and of course he can heal. Kholek cannot heal, but he's still got a fair bit of health, enough to take care of Alberic for sure. There are a few dangerous units, though. The Peasant Bowmen with the Pox Arrows and the Solar Engines still have a lot of ammunition. And you can see the Trebuchets still firing back here as well. So several problematic units left for my team to have to deal with if we want to win this. A nice Awakening of the Wood there. My teammate right into a blob of infantry. So good job at doing some damage to them. I've still got my Fire Sorcerer alive. I'm saving up some magic in order to try and be effective here into the late game. You can see the Pox Arrows now firing away at our leadership. Probably should have taken the Chaos Spawn at this point, bypassed this fight and just gone for the bows. But instead I end up committing them into this fight, so I probably questioned some of my decision making there, because the Forsaken would have done nicely right here, and then the Chaos Spawn could have just chased the bows off. And they're unbreakable, so they give a little bit of trouble. I'm going to use another Burning Head here to rip through this blob of Lizardmen infantry that is fully engaged, and it works absolutely beautifully. Clears out the rest of the Lizardmen infantry, at least for the moment, and so my Sorcerer of Fire picks up some nice damage there. Krok is going to unleash his spell, though, and pay back the favor on a lot of my Chaos infantry. Krok has managed to get some pretty significant kills throughout the course of this, and again, now that my Chaos Spawn are free, they're now taking Solar Engine shots to the face and Pox Arrows, and they're now too beat up to actually get up here and catch the archers, so the Pox Arrows continue to be problematic for us. Though you can see Alberic really wanted a piece of Kholek, and he decides to land. Kholek takes a big chunk out of Alberic. A slightly misplaced fireball there at my point. I should have fired it after Alberic was a little further away, and it was easier for the fireball to home in on him. I do have Gor Rok busied up with a bunch of Chaos Warriors here. That's just something to hold him steady. And I'm going to send a Forsaken unit out here to try and pressure this, though my chances aren't going to be great with a couple of Bastillodons back there, so we got some problems here because Kholek's under heavy fire. I forgot to mention this Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. Yes, I had 2 of them. This one was on the other flank, and it clobbered the Knights Errants that were over there, and then came back into the fight after all that. So I still do have 1 Shaggoth, despite the fact that Kholek is, at least at the moment, routing. You can see Volkmar is going to go for Gor Rok. I think that's a good idea. Volkmar has a bonus versus infantry. It's going to be probably some of the best suited, though. I'll take a stab at him here real quick with my Dragon Ogre. You can see that I did get a little pressure here with the Forsaken, and then I was hoping to kind of get a cheeky charge off here with the Chaos Warhounds, but they're going to charge and then just immediately rout, so they don't end up getting to do any damage here. And the Solar Engines just continue to unload on us. They really need to be targeting the Shaggoth or Volkmar, one of the two. Probably the Shaggoth would be the better target because it can't heal. But you can see it's still a fairly even fight. Actually, maybe slightly favoring my side now. But you can see Alberic now out in the distance. This time my fireball is going to be, you know, shot at a better moment, and it does connect and leaves Alberic with only 190 hit points as he goes to engage the Jade Wizard. Now, even with that low level of hit points, he could still very easily win this fight because Alberic's just that much better than the Jade Wizard in melee, but they end up both routing. So that fireball did kind of pay off there, and again, keeps the power bar just a hair above half for my faction. I'm going to bring in the Shaggoth here, try and beat down a few of these archers, and then I've also got my Fire Sorcerer. He's going to get a little bit caught up in some Temple Guards for a moment, though I will rectify that. And then at this point I realize I can't sit back and just take shots off of these solar engines. So I do go ahead and decide to charge them. Kholek is coming in. The 2 solar engines are here. Between all these units, they can pump out quite a bit of weapon damage. See, that managed to rout the bowmen as well because they're terrified of the Shaggoth. Not going to be an easy fight for my Shaggoth, but at least he keeps them busy. Daddy Kholek is back for more. At this point, he's got 500 some odd hit points here. But he is very weak, and then I accidentally let him get into these Sara Spearmen for just a moment, which is certainly a mistake. This is a waste of what little remaining hit points he has. If the Jade Wizard hadn't died, possibly could have gotten some healing, but I know the Jade Wizard probably spent most of its magic at this point. At this point, Kholek is in trouble, and Kholek managed not to rout, so he is going to come in and really hurt Kholek very badly here. And so this is actually swinging the power bar now at this point, because the power bar considers Kholek to be quite the powerful character, plus it's a lot of money that a player has to invest in Kholek. You can see those last few missiles coming in, but at this point the power bar completely shifts. Even with the 2 Bastillodons remaining, the power bar shifts, and they probably didn't have a way to finish this, so it was really Kholek's hit points in the end that were holding up a pretty considerable portion of the power bar there, and I guess it kind of makes sense. You know, it's a big investment. It's a unit that has quite a bit of power. He probably wasn't going to be great against what he was left against, but he did manage to get a decent bit of work done. Look at that. So probably didn't pay for himself, but when you're looking at raw damage, 14,709 raw damage, that's a lot. This unit Kholek dealt some pretty serious damage. On my end, Kholek did get some really solid value because of the work that he did on the Companion at Kinel, Alberic, and other large units, so Kholek definitely bought me some value. My Fire Sorcerer was good value for me here. My Infantry died. It's not a whole lot else to say about it. It did what it was supposed to up until the point that Kholek deleted it. And not a whole lot of my other units were very impressive, to be honest. This Dragon Ogre got some decent work done too, probably paid for itself. You can see here, the value off of the solar engines, not great here. I think if their fire had been targeted at Kholek or the Fire Sorcerer or the other Dragon Ogre Shaggoth or Volkmar, most of the time these guys probably would have gotten significantly more value, would just be my guess as to what happened. Let's switch over to the teammates, so my teammate and then Ordance's teammate here, Sovereign. So Volkmar getting a decent bit of work done here. The Sorcerer, I think, the Wizard providing some pretty good backup. The Luminarch was not able to pay off at all. It missed a lot of shots and then was caught. The rocket battery did good for its price, and of course none of the rest of the Empire units were able to do so. Kholek getting a hold of a couple, and the artillery getting a hold of a couple. And then as for Alberic, doing a decent job for Alberic. He did end up in a fight against Kholek, a little too much, but you know, he was able to get some value in for sure. I think the archers, for their costs, like this one did very well. This one did okay, and of course this is the one I got with the hounds. If we take a look at the Companions of Kinel, that's some pretty solid value that they dealt out there, and a lot of that probably came from the Luminarch. So that was a valuable kill for that unit indeed. And if we take a look at the Royal Hippogriff Knights, also getting some pretty solid work done. But really a decent performance out of the Trebuchets too. Look at the raw damage and the value. Trebuchets not terribly expensive units, so definitely some good work there by Sovereign with the Trebuchets. Anyway, hope y'all enjoyed this one. I had fun playing it. I'll be doing more streams every Tuesday and Thursday as best I can. I was pretty inconsistent with them last year. I'm going to attempt to be much more consistent this year. Obviously, I can't promise you that I'll be there every Tuesday, Thursday, because life happens, but I'm going to be doing my best. Well, Air, why are you doing the streams? Because I like it, and I hope to see you all there. That's pretty much the in and out of that. So if you want to be involved in the stream, it never hurts to be a part of the Discord. You don't have to be. It never hurts to be a part of that Discord. Sometimes I use it to help get linked up with people we're playing again. It's not required, but we'd love to have you there if you do want to join it. appreciate my teammate and my opponents there, all of the folks who joined the stream last night. It's about 150 of you who are following me live, and very appreciative to have you there. And if you were watching this afterwards, appreciate you watching this here too. Tell me what you think in the comments. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I will see you soon.